RWBY Volume 5, Chapter 14, Haven's Fate has officially released, so let me break it down for you. So all 3 to 8 White Fang members are apprehended and arrested. Sun intervenes with Adam, which, don't exactly know how to feel about that. I'm under the mindset that Adam is Blake's to fight, not Yang, not Sun's, only Blake's. But I feel as though Adam probably needs a group of skilled people to take him down. So we get about a 5-second skirmish before Adam retreats into the forest in an attempt to pick them off one by one. Now, on a technicality, I appreciated this. The teasing of fights and not getting the fight has gotten old this volume since before this episode. But even though we didn't get anything, at least I enjoyed the follow-up. Blake did what Adam should have done last episode. They've spent so much time together, she knows him and what he's going to do, his strategies. Adam should have done that last episode, or at the very least knew Blake was gonna use a shadow clone. So I'm glad we got it in some way. Also, I feel as though Blake still doesn't understand the concept of running away. If what Blake said was true with Adam and he was trying to lure them out and pick them off, that's not exactly running away, it's actually a strategy. It's not a strategy when your friends find out that you're a faunus and you bolt out of the room and don't return. That's running away, there's no strategy there. Adam tried to implement a tactic, it didn't work, and he had no reason to return. It's a bit different to how you've been running away, Blake. So, on a technicality, because you didn't chase him, he did run away. Also, Adam, as this episode shows, wants his life to rule Blake's life. But she says that she didn't come here for him, which, I don't know about that. I would actually say that he was the sole reason you came here. You didn't know your friends were there. You went there to stop Adam. So to say that you didn't come here for him, not exactly true. But then again, could have been some mind games Blake was playing. So I enjoyed their bits. It's still the most lackluster thing ever, but at least it wasn't all bad. We then go to Raven and Yang. We learn that Raven did indeed kill the previous Spring Maiden so she could have the powers for herself. I saw a lot of comments thinking that Vernal was the maiden, but the powers went to Raven when she died. But I was always in the Raven killed the past maiden for her powers and is using Vernal as a decoy camp. Raven also accuses Yang of accepting information that she's given, but Yang says that she's questioning things now, which seems a bit true and untrue from both people. Yang is doing a great job at questioning Raven. She's not doing a great job with Ozpin. Raven gives her an answer, Yang bites back and asks more. She definitely didn't do that with Ozpin. She asked the question, was given an answer, and then obeyed. There was no follow-up like with what she's doing with Raven. Maybe she's questioning things and keeping them to herself. Or maybe it's the consistent RWBY problem that they're telling us that she's doing stuff, but not actually showing us that she's been doing these things. So technically, they're both right. Yang does question some things, but also, she just accepts a lot of answers that are given to her. We then get a touching, I don't know if that's the right word, there's a lot of malice and anger, scene between the two. It's pretty similar to Raven and Leo's conversation. You pretend like you're strong, but you're actually scared. Pretty much the same thing, but with a lot more words between mother and daughter. Yang also tells Raven that taking the relic would put an even bigger target on her back, all in an effort to dissuade her. And it works. Yang manages to get the relic for herself and Raven warps away. The thing that I think this scene did great was what wasn't spoken. Yang grabbed the relic and started crying. That was genuinely a great scene because it wasn't explained to you directly what happened. It's you as an audience member realize what has just happened. What happened there was Raven abandoned Yang again. You could take the relic and be hunted, or you could let me take the relic and I'll do it. And Raven let Yang take the relic. Raven values her own life more than her own daughter's. And that's the point the scene was getting across. And I think it was genuinely great for both the volume and the series as a whole. I almost had a problem with Yang being overly cocky once again saying, I'll be there waiting for Salem. Originally, that was going to be a problem. Oh wow, Yang, you really haven't changed. But that wasn't the point of the statement. The point of it was not that Yang thinks that she could take on Salem, but rather she was baiting Raven. Words can say one thing, but ultimately it's your actions that determine who you are as a person, and Raven's actions abandoned Yang. This is what Yang should be doing with Ozpin. It's more than just asking questions. It's about trying to bait him into doing or not doing something to get a true barometer of who he is. And next volume, I hope that what Yang just did with Raven, she does to Ozpin. Speaking of people trying to stand up to Salem, we go to Lionheart. He tries pinning the failure of what's going on Cinder, but after trying to stand up to her, he gets killed. I'll be honest, didn't expect him to die. I liked Lionheart. He wasn't even technically a villain. He was just a coward, self-preservation and all that. You can't exactly think, oh, he got what he deserved. It was actually kind of just sad. So it's like, is it really Lionheart's fault that all of this happened? Or is it Ozpin's fault for putting a coward in such a position of responsibility? Who knows, because we knew nothing of Lionheart and what he was like in the past. I'm also not the biggest fan of the dragged off screen and killed. I feel as though RWBY at this point has established that it's not a kid show. It's not a gore fest either, but it didn't exactly sound like his guts were pouring on the floor. It just sounded like he got stabbed a few times. So, wasn't a fan of the off-screen death, didn't expect him to die, and I guess Haven is now hiring. Back in the main room, the villains aren't doing too good. Emerald is a bit heavily dependent and believes in Cinder. However, who arises from the elevator other than Yang? To make a hastily retreat, Emerald illusions everyone with Salem. And if I'm being honest here, I feel as though RWBY was the only one who had an appropriate reaction. Like, RWBY curled up, turned away, and didn't even try to put up a fight, right? That was fear. RWBY succumbed to actual fear. She just shut down. In my opinion, that was the appropriate reaction. I don't know who or what that was, but I didn't like it. Everyone else, however, just stood their ground as if to say, man, that was weird. I kinda wish they all had RWBY's type of reaction, because as far as we're concerned, Salem is like Endgame. She's the big bad. I feel as though the response to seeing her for the first time should have been a bit more from everyone. I feel her reception got a bit of a lukewarm response from the room. Anyway, the villains escape and Adam seems as if he's going to be joining them. So everyone is happy. The Belladonnas talk about how the Faunus need a real leader. And so Gira is going to either take the lead of the White Fang or start a completely different organization altogether. Now, if Gira takes control of the White Fang, then I believe Sienna's death was a complete waste. But if he doesn't, then there's hope. Fans thought that Sienna's death was a complete waste of a character. She died just as fast as she was introduced. I was fine with her death because Adam took control. He needed to progress with his story or whatever. But if Adam is no longer in control of the White Fang, then her death was absolutely pointless. Adam killed her to take the seat, but if Adam is no longer in the seat, then it was a pretty wasteful character. But everyone reunites, Team RWBY does this weird group huddle, and Juniper just awkwardly stands there. Come on, nothing from them? Ren, Nora, nothing? No hug, no hand-holding, no little kiss on the cheek? Are you or are you not a thing? Easy opportunity missed right there. They gave you a softball and you missed it. But Oscar leaves us with a message. Get the lamp to Atlas. I'm not gonna lie, I'd imagine Ozpin isn't too thrilled that the relic is out in the open. Like, I'm sure he would have preferred if Raven had just reclosed the door. Like, he went through all the effort to put the relic in a door that can only be opened by one person. But now that it's being passed around from person to person so easily, I'm sure he's not ecstatic about that. It's good for Raven. If she had just reclosed the door, she still would have been hunted to just reopen it. So, smart on her end, not exactly the best for Ozpin. About going to Atlas. I mean, sure, at this point there's no reason to stay in Mistral. I don't like the fact that we saw none of Mistral. Like, if you only watched Volume 5 and not the World of Remnant and you asked someone to describe Mistral, they wouldn't even scratch the surface. There's a marketplace where people are happy, there's a broken down part of the town where people are sad, and there's a school. The fashion, the theater, the biggest black market in Remnant, these aspects were lost and we didn't see any of that. Somehow, we saw more of Vale, the boring kingdom, as opposed to Mistral, an interesting one. And clearly, we can't stay here because the plot demands that we move on. And I feel the show kind of wrote itself into a corner because Team RWBY, I guess, needed to get back together. And this was really the only way it could happen because of how Volume 4 played out, separating them. It's a similar problem to what I think Red vs. Blue Season 15 had, where it both began and ended a complete story in and of itself that I think should have been extended 2 seasons. If this Mistral story had been extended, we'd have had time to see them properly train, explore the kingdom, and world build. But the problem with that is that so many people had already gotten tired of Blake's story and would have absolutely hated if she didn't reunite with them. But the story didn't allow Blake to reunite with them in any other way other than what it did, unless it was another cosmic coincidence as it was with Yang and Weiss. So I think it would have benefited if it had been over 2 seasons, but the story wrote itself into a corner, forcing it to play out as fast and frantic as it did, only being able to focus on the big picture. And now we go to Atlas, where the school is the interesting part of the kingdom. So they can't fuck up the setting. Then we get an after credit scene, which is pretty nothing. It was honestly like Raven's one escape. Tai Yang was the only person she could teleport to. What was she gonna teleport upstairs to Crow and just walk out the door? Tai was the only available one. So there doesn't exactly seem to be any significance there. Now, was this episode off the wall? Oh my god, it was so good. No. Was it the worst, most disappointing thing ever? No. All I can really say about this episode is, it was an episode. That's really it, honestly. So, that was the episode. Be sure to let me know what you guys thought of it down in the comments. Like the video if you liked it. Subscribe if you're interested in more content like this. Follow me on all social medias. And I'll see you in the next video.